Lesson 7.2 is finding cube roots. So a cube root of a number is a number that, when multiplied by itself and then multiplied by itself again, equals the given number. A perfect cube is a number that can be written as the cube of an integer. The symbol is used to represent a cube root. So we need to find those cube roots. So the cube root of 1, well, 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. So the cube root of 1 is simply 1. Now, the cube root of negative 343. Well, we know a negative times a negative times a negative will make a negative number. So we know that our answer has to be negative. Now, for 343, we can use some methods to help us find the answer. So we know that 5 times 5 is 25, times another 5 is going to give us 125. So we know that 125 is not really close to 343. So, 5 isn't going to help us. So let's try maybe 8. So 8 times 8 is 64. 64 times 8 is 512. We know that that is too many. So now we kind of need to go back the other direction to try to find the right answer. So 7 times 7 is 49 times another 7. Well, we know 9 times 7 ends in a 3, so it's a good chance that that's going to be our answer. So 49 times 7 is 343, but again, our answer is going to be negative. So negative 7. Now, just like the square roots, we can use the cube root of the top and the bottom to help us simplify it when it's a fraction. So we know that our answer is going to be negative. So the cube root of 27, well, 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. That's not going to work. So 3 times 3 is 9 times 3 is 27. So the cube root of 27 is 3. And then 1,000, so powers of 10, we can use the number of zeros. So we have 3 zeros. So we break it into groups of 3. Each one is going to have 1 0. So the cube root of 1,000 is 10. 10 times 10 is 100, times 10 is 1,000. So our answer here is negative 3/10. Now let's take a look at a few more. Here we're going to use our knowledge of cube roots to evaluate the expression. Go ahead and try these 3 on your own. In number 4, we have 18 minus 4 times the cube root of 8. We know that 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So the cube root of 8 is 2. So 18 minus 4 times 2. Well, 4 times 2 is 8. 18 minus 8 is 10. So the answer to number 4 of the expression is 10. Here we have that cube root and the cube. Remember that those are inverse operations and cancel. So we have negative 64 plus 43. Opposite signs, so we subtract and keep the sign of the larger number. 64 minus 43 is 21. The larger number is negative. So answer to number 5 is negative 21. In number 6, we have 5 times the cube root of 512 minus 19. Now, once the numbers start getting bigger, we can use prime factorization to help us solve. So let's take a look at that. So if our number is 512, we can take 2 times 256 to get to 512. We're looking for a factor of this, which will be a prime number. So 2 is a prime number. It's an even number. We can easily factor out 2. Now again, this is an even number, so we can take out another 2. 2 times what makes 256? Well, that's 128. Again, an even number, so we can easily factor out 2. 2 times 64 makes 128. 2 times 32 makes 64. 2 times 16. 2 times 8. 2 times 4. And you'll keep going all the way until you end up with a prime number. Now, what we're going to do with this is we're going to take our prime numbers and we're going to put them in groups of 3. So we have a group of 3 2s, a group of 3 2s, and a group of 3 2s. So to find the cube root of 512, we take 1 2, another 2, and another 2. You take 1 from each group. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. So the cube root of 512 is 8. 5 times 8 is 40, and 40 take away 19 is 21. Now, on number 9, the volume of a music box that is shaped like a cube is 512 cubic centimeters. Find the surface area. So we know that a cube can be found with the volume of side cubed because we know that it's the side, the length times the width times the height, and we know that those are all the same. So in a cube, we can use S for side. Well, we're using the number 512 for the volume. So 512 equals S cubed. Now to find 512, we can take the cube root of 512 and the cube root of S cubed to cancel to find S. And we know from the previous problem that the cube root of 512 is 8. So each side length is 8. So we know that the sides of a cube are squares with side lengths of 8 now. The surface area of one cube, 8 times 8, is 64. How can we find the surface area of the entire music box? A cube has 6 sides. So the surface area can be found by using 6 times S squared. 6 sides times the side squared of each side. We know that the side squared was 64, and 6 times 64 is 384 centimeters squared since we're talking about area.